Hi there, this is Linda and I'm back with another Project Life process video. This is the week of July 18th through 24 for 2022. And I have my photos here. They're kind of a mishmash of printing because I print at home. I don't print smaller pages. I print on 8.5 by 11 or 13 by 19. So when I do that, I just fill in any gaps I have when I'm working on other projects with photos that I need printed. For this one, I have been working on Week in the Life and stuff right now, so I had just been printing photos to go on this spread whenever I had some extra space on a piece of paper while printing, and that's just a good way to not waste the photo paper because that stuff is not cheap. And for Project Life, I always know that I'm going to be working on the next spread, and so as I'm printing for other projects, I always know I can dig through my folders and start editing and printing photos for this project, which also makes this project come along much quicker. This week I don't have a ton of photos. There just wasn't a ton that was going on this week, or just not a lot that was photo worthy. My notes here are fairly short. It was just pretty much an ordinary week. The biggest event of it is I had 2 retirement parties for 2 people that I have worked with for a long time, especially one of them who was my boss when I first started where I work now, and she's someone that I've worked with pretty much every day for the past 8 years, and has really kind of been a mentor to me, so it was very tough to see her go. I didn't take a ton of photos at either retirement party, but I will probably have some journaling about that to include, and I did grab 1 or 2 from each party. I also have just a few everyday life photos, and then this week my daughter got her school photos taken, her senior photos taken. We're also going to do professional photographer ones, but she got the ones that were done through the school taken this week, and the proofs came back. And so what I decided to do was print out a small grid of the proofs, which are not really, meant, they have like the watermark and stuff, just for you to kind of select which ones you wanted. But I thought that was a good representation of the fact that she got the photos taken this week. When I actually get the official ones, I will put those probably in her album and not in my Project Life. But this one is more telling the story of the fact that she got the photos taken rather than the actual photo itself. And so I do have these photos here that I just cropped out. I'm just gonna kind of lay them out. Let's see, these are from one retirement party, which I guess I'm gonna put these ones together. That's from the other retirement party. Here's her photos, and just some regular life, random life photos here. To fill in my spread. So for this week, I'm going to be working with the black and white story kit. So I have already done a project with this kit, or not story kit, quarterly scrapbook kit from Ali Edwards. So this is not a story themed kit. What I do have here are these flowers. There are this felt letters that say that, and then there's an ampersand. Oh, I don't know, one of these flowers in here. There's some plastic words that are kind of like a then, now, high, low, pro, con. I'm not sure if those will work with my stories. There's these stars, and then there's just a lot of patterned paper. A lot of this patterned paper I've already broke into. A lot of them this time were very basic patterns. So I'm going to find a way to kind of use those on my spread, rather than the fact that there are not really journaling cards. There's this one that's kind of prompts, but I probably will save this. Well, so I could save this to do a 6x8 page, or I could crop them out and use them to tell my stories this week, which actually I kind of like that idea. So I'm thinking about doing that. And then I'm gonna kind of look through the rest of these to figure out what I want to do. So something I do have though is I have these 2 spots that I would put filler cards, and what I could do is pull from here. So normally I would do something, like a larger pattern, and I could pull from here and just crop that. I could, embellish it, something like that. But what I think I might do is actually just go through my stash and try to find some cards to use, just because that's going to be simpler than trying to make something out of all of these pattern papers. And it is going to use up more of my stash. Now, I did kind of want to stick with just the scrapbook kit, but I kind of got to go with what I'm feeling inspired by. So I am going to use this kit as my base, but I believe I'm going to pull in some other cards from my stash for those pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and get to putting this together.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go through the cards in my stash. I pulled out the entire stack of 4x6 cards that are in the category me/hard/encourage, and I selected a few cards to include on this spread. I decided to use 3 filler cards and then this highs and lows card that I could add some journaling on as a hidden journaling pocket. I had also pulled over my quotes stack, and I decided not to even look through it because I found what I wanted to use. If you are not sure what I'm talking about, then you should go check out my video for my Project Life card organization. In that video, I go through how I organize all of my stash of cards and how I figure out, when I'm going to use those cards in a spread like this when I'm digging back into my stash. So what I decided to do is take the 6x8 paper that came in the kit that has these 6 journaling spots on it and cut them out. And I'm going to use those as my primary journaling spots on this spread. So looking at the papers in this kit, most of them are just pattern papers. They're not large prompt-based papers or anything that could be used as a filler card, really. They're more just patterns, which was actually kind of surprising because the other quarterly scrapbook kits have been really a mix of patterns and other papers that were either prompt-based or just larger patterns. But this kind of gave me a lot of basics to add to my stash. So what I decided to do for this spread is just kind of crop out a few of them to be background cards and then use these 6 journaling spots as my primary journaling on this spread. So what I have there is my sticky note. I always have a sticky note that I write down just a note of all of the main stories from the week that I can check off as I'm scrapbooking, just to make sure I don't forget to include a story. And I was just going through it and selecting 6 stories to add onto those 6 circle spots. And you can see here, I selected a couple of the pattern papers from the kit and cropped them out to 3x4 cards. 2 of them are going to hold some of these journaling spots, and one of them I'm going to embellish with that felt ampersand. The kit came with felt words that said this and that, and I already used the word this in another project. And so in this one, I'm going to use that ampersand, and I will have that left to do something else in the future. I'm just going through and adding my journaling onto these spots and cropping things and adhering them down. You can see using a journaling spot like this that I'm repeating throughout the spread makes the spread come together super quickly. This spread did not take me long at all. And I absolutely love how it turned out. It's just very simple, I think. And I just love that with the black and the white patterns of all the different types of patterns together. It's just really fun. I had originally considered doing a full black and white spread using black and white photos, but when I chose this week to do, I hadn't thought of that ahead of time. And I have that photo of my coffee mug at work and the photo of the cake, and I didn't think that they would look very great in black and white. I might decide to do that at some point in the future, but looking at the spread now, I feel like it kind of needs a little bit of color, and having the color from the photos contrast to the black and the white papers is actually pretty fun. And I think if you still have the rainbow story kit, that one might be super fun to pair with black and white photos. I didn't do that, and I've already used most of that kit, but I think that that's a super fun idea. So as I said in the intro, I went to 2 retirement parties this week, and that's a lot of what was going on. So that's 2 of those journaling spots there, and 3 of the photos on the left-hand side are about the retirement parties that I attended. And then on this journaling card, I just put 2 more of the spots, and they're a little bit big to fit onto a 3x4 card, but I have them overlapping, and I'm just telling a few other stories from the week. I had selected 6 stories that I could highlight on this spread, and I don't think that I can't even remember right now what they all were, but they are not all stories that really needed to be highlighted, but because there were 6 journaling spots on that paper, I wanted to use them all. Just because if and I could have just used 5 or something and throw out the last one, but I don't want to waste it. And it's not something you can use again because they are numbered. So I would never use, the number 6 without something else. Then I decided to create a journaling card to list out the other little stories from the week. Again, I could have totally skipped this because I had those 6 journaling spots. I could have used the 6th one to add just a few other little stories, but I did want to include this as something I do pretty much every spread. And what I decided to do is just use some white cardstock and my dot marker to make bullet points and add my journaling on here. And then as a title, I took the plastic word now from the kit. If you remember, the kit has those are word pairings. So I believe that this had now and then. Don't be afraid to break those up and just use one word at a time. If that is what works for your story, you can always find a use for the other word, or, it could maybe never get used, but at least you're using some of your supplies. For this highs and lows card, I decided to crop it down a little bit so that it slides more easily into the pocket, and rounded the top 2 corners, and then I added an Avery index tab on the top. I went over to my stash and pulled out some black, white, and gray word phrase strips, and I'm using some of those to fill in that tab on that pullout. And I'm going to do my journaling off camera. I just had some longer journaling to include this week about some stuff that's going on. And then I decided to go through and embellish. I ended up adding one of the flowers onto this card, and I had originally planned to add more of those flowers onto the spread, and I really felt like it didn't need them. They're too big, I think, to go onto a project life spread. I mean, you could do it, but I feel like they are better suited for a larger scrapbook layout. So I'm going to save them for another project. And instead, I'm using my word phrase strips to add some embellishments onto some of the photos. And then I'm going to use the chipboard stars that came in the kit to add a little bit of dimension. I also decided to use the gold stars. The chipboard set that came with the kit had black and white, of course, but it also had some gold foiled stars, and I thought that those were super fun just to add a little pop. And so I ended up doing that and adding those. You can see I'm adding them here on top of some of the word phrase strips, and I think I had also added one on the label sticker at the top that includes the dates. Now I'm just going through and slipping everything into the pockets, trimming them down to make sure that they fit, and that's pretty much going to be it. Like I said, the spread came together pretty easily. The black and white kit was really well suited for a lot of patterned cards. So I really enjoyed going into my stash to pull out some of those quote cards that I could use to tell a little bit more of the story and fill in the pockets where I didn't have photos. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching and for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks.